Okay, I'm probably just gonna record videos and probably not even upload them if I'm just talking and just talk about my day and venting and airing out. Um, which I told myself I want to make a video every day, even if I'm just airing out my uncomfortable feelings. But or I'm just talking about, if I had a great day and just, hey, today was great, this happened, whatever. And yeah, for this video, I'm not too exactly sure what I'm talking about. Just, I guess I'll talk about how I feel about my past videos. I very, I don't know, I don't want to say the word proud, but or the sense of accomplishment, or even satisfied. I don't know what the word is. I very much appreciate the videos I just created, and I think they are very interesting, and I gotta talk about something that I love to talk about, and it was, I don't know, I'm just like, because with those videos, I want to create even more videos that kind of bounce off of those, and I'm not too. I know I have a few ideas of where I want to take it, but those videos, I'm very. I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say proud. I guess I'll say proud, but it's just I'm very happy with what I created, and or what Jesus has helped me create, and yeah, I have a few ideas of that I want to bounce off from those videos and branch off, and I want to flesh those out and make videos about that to be able to um, connect more of it, if or what I'm trying to think of like a Spider-Man reference, but to string together all the webs, or to string together a web, or to web together all the ideas. There we go. To web together all the ideas, and yeah, I'm looking forward to where my channel is headed, and try my best to be a great character, which is my goal, is to aim to be like Jesus as much as possible, and I just want to have a great character like him, and like Spider-Man, and like Captain America, and with this channel, and I'm starting to get more traction. I'm starting to get more traction on TikTok, and one of my videos just got over 2,000 views and it got a decent amount of likes, and very happy about that. And I'm glad that people are watching me and want to hear what I have to say. But yeah, I guess right now I'm just in the brainstorming part of creating, and just trying to see what ideas I want to go with, and what I really want to talk about the most, and where I want to take it, and take my videos, to take my channel. Looking forward to, excited for my channel and where it's headed, and excited for the videos I'm going to create in the future, and very happy with the videos that I've created recently, very happy for the attention that I've been getting, the support I've been getting, and I don't know if I mentioned it in another video that I made, but got to see my sister's baby, my nephew, his name is Braylon, for the first time, which is been a while since I've seen a baby in person, which was kind of I guess a life shock. It was just like, whoa, this is a miracle of life, a blessing, and it's like the most beautiful parts of life, and I'm looking at it right in front of me, or looking at him right in front of me, and it's a baby that can't even form words yet, and it's eventually, he will, and I'm curious to know what his first word is going to be, which I'll ask my sister, but it was very beautiful, and they asked me, who do I think he looks like, and I was like, well, I think he looks like a mix of both, but they have a very beautiful baby, and it touched my heart when I was seeing their baby, and seeing them again. You know, I haven't seen her since the hospital, so. But yeah, yeah, just kind of brainstorming, fleshing out ideas, and webbing together all of the ideas, and trying to get ready for me to make my next video, and yeah, we'll talk about Spider-Man for a moment, again, but I love talking about Spider-Man. I don't know why I'm gonna say it like again, like it's not something I want to do, but Spider-Man, when the world forgot who Peter Parker is, that dude, I didn't know that movie took place 4 years after No Way Home, and they told me that. Well, I'm guessing. I mean, this is what the video, it was like a review or whatever, and I was like, 4 years? I thought it was gonna be like a few months or something, or maybe a year, but 4 years. That was the time between Thanos' snap and then the time before they reversed it. And I was like, 4 years. Wow, so he went 4 years without being with his girlfriend forgetting him and not knowing who he is and not remembering him. And so he's just heartbroken. And I get it, he has to be Spider-Man even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart. And I said, be Psylocke even if it breaks Christian's heart. And my soulmate not wanting to talk to me, which I'm trying my best not to focus on. And yeah, I was like 4 years, and the part of the review that I was watching, they said that he went all in being Spider-Man. And I was like, because Peter Parker, and I was like, okay, who is Peter Parker? How is Peter Parker different from Spider-Man? They are the same person. But Peter Parker's life is different than Spider-Man's life. Spider-Man's life is fighting crime, fighting villains, saving the world, saving New York City, okay? Saving people, helping people. Peter Parker's life is more of, they didn't really talk about and they didn't even bring J. Jonah Jameson in because they had him in the last movie, but I don't know if there was any mention of the Daily Bugle or any of that. And so I don't know if Peter Parker's going to become a photographer. And this Peter Parker, we haven't really seen him that much with a camera or photographer, like taking photos of himself, which I feel like was important, in the Tobey Maguire movies. Spider-Man taking pictures of himself and then selling his own photos for money so he could pay for rent. I found that very interesting. And he was like his own photographer. He was his own photographer, but in secret. So he's like Peter Parker as a photographer. Keeping a secret identity of Spider-Man was his own photographer in secret. I mean, if that might be a little too complicated or a little too deep, but it was very interesting. And so, yeah, we didn't really, in this movie, I talked about how he balances both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And the Daily Bugle, we didn't really see it in this movie or see him try to become a photographer, this version of Peter Parker. Maybe he will later on in the next movie, but I feel like that is an important part of Peter Parker's character, is being a photographer and working for the Daily Bugle. Kind of like how Clark Kent works for the Daily Planet, and he's a journalist, I believe, or a reporter. And that's an important part of Clark Kent's character. And then he has his glasses, which makes people see him differently, and not as, because they said the glasses is like his only, because Peter Parker has a mask on, nobody knows who he is behind the mask, so he could be anybody. And that's what Stan Lee says, that Spider-Man can be anybody behind the mask, and it doesn't matter what skin color. He can be black, he could be a woman, she could be a woman, Spider-Gwen. And that's the most beautiful part about, or one of the most beautiful parts of Spider-Man's character, is that Spider-Man behind the mask can be anybody in the world. And that's great and very inspirational. But Clark Kent's character, his glasses, Clark Kent wears the glasses and Superman takes the glasses off. The laser eyes and all that. But apparently this is what they've been, but what I've been told, I don't know if they said it in the most recent Superman movie, but part of his lore is that his glasses makes other people see him differently, as like a different person. so they can't resemble him as Superman. And his glasses, it's not that it's the most obvious like decoy or fake disguise or whatever, but the actual glasses are almost like magic, and it makes people see him as a different person. So, but what I was trying to get at though is him being a reporter is, I feel like, an important part of his character as Clark Kent. Peter Parker being a photographer is an important part of Peter Parker's character and who Peter Parker is outside of Spider-Man. Now, he is a photographer of Spider-Man, but the photographer is Peter Parker's job, and fighting crime and saving New York City is Spider-Man's job. That kind of gets the idea across. But yeah, what makes Peter Parker different from Spider-Man? They are the same person, but what makes up Peter Parker's character? I feel like him having a job as a photographer, working at the Daily Bugle, important part of his character. But also his romantic partner, MJ or Gwen Stacy, or even Black Cat. They have some kind of flame, but I feel like that's more of Spider-Man's romantic interest. Okay, this is how I really understand the difference. Spider-Man's romantic interest is like kind of like Black Cat. Peter Parker's romantic interest would be more MJ, Mary Jane, or Michelle Jones. But Peter Parker as a photographer, Peter Parker that is paying rent, Peter Parker that has a romantic interest with MJ, who is also, I'm pretty sure, a reporter for the Daily Bugle, at least she was in a video game. But Peter Parker, in this movie, he's not in college. This isn't college Peter Parker. This is a Peter Parker that, I think he was living in the attic. And he was just focusing and going all in on being Spider-Man. And his life, Peter Parker, was kind of set aside. Like, because his romantic partner, MJ, his soulmate doesn't remember him. So, he can't enjoy that part of life because the other person doesn't know who he is. So, he has to live with that heartbreak and that grief. And so, he's not in college, he's not a photographer. So we really don't even see. I mean, we do see what's him somewhat trying to reconnect with his best friend and MJ, and that is, where we can see Peter Parker. But this movie really is more of a Spider-Man movie, but it is a Spider-Man movie that balances Peter Parker and Spider-Man, where Peter Parker doesn't get too obsessed with being Spider-Man that he forgets Peter Parker. And yeah, I feel like that would be part of Peter Parker's character. Being a photographer for the Daily Bugle, romantic interest with MJ, his best friend, those relationships. But Aunt May and his Uncle Ben is dead now, but his relationship with Uncle Ben and his relationship with Aunt May all makes up Peter Parker's character. But Aunt May's gone, Uncle Ben's gone, Tony Stark's gone, and for this version of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, Tony Stark is important to him, and he has a relationship with him. But he's dead too, and his girlfriend, his soulmate, and his best friend do not remember him. So it's almost like all the parts of Peter Parker that made Peter Parker, that made him him, was ripped away from him, and all he was left with was Spider-Man. But like I said, he learns to balance both, and he learns to reconnect with his friends, or he's trying to, and they're warming up to him. But yeah, I don't know, how I would love to see Peter Parker is like how I saw him in the video game, working at a homeless shelter, which his Aunt May died in the video game too, but in the video game, him and his Aunt May, him as Peter Parker, were running a homeless shelter, or helped run a homeless shelter, and helping out and volunteering for free. And Aunt May told him, if you help somebody, you help everybody. And I feel like that, seeing Peter Parker volunteer at the homeless shelter was a great way, or like, it shows how great Peter Parker's character is, even with him not fighting crime and being Spider-Man and wearing the mask, but him without the mask, you know, not being Spider-Man, but just being Peter Parker and still helping people as Peter Parker, volunteering for free, helping out at the homeless shelter. And that just shows how great his character is. Because, yes, as Spider-Man, he helps people, but even as Peter Parker, he helps people. And then you also get to see his smart side working with Dr. Octavius and, you know, the science experiments, and you get to see him nerd out. And you see that he is very smart. And he's smart as Spider-Man too, because they're both the same person, but you get to see his intelligence outside of just making webs or, you know, making Spider-Man suits. You get to see him actually, you know, be a science whiz, a genius. And I think that's very interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say. Yeah, Peter Parker's character is just as great as him as Spider-Man. But yeah, I would love to see a Spider-Man movie, kind of like the Spider-Man game, where we get to see both Spider-Man saving New York City and helping people, but also Peter Parker saving people and helping people, like volunteering at the homeless shelter for free.